Hey guys, what's up? So tip number three, okay? I was telling you guys about how you try to, put yourself in a better situation. So tip number three would be to upskill yourself. When you are working on Hey Blessed, how you doing? Morning. Good, thank you. So when you are working, you upskill yourself and you do that by either studying in-house stuff, if you want to stick to the company you're in. uh, don't just do your job. Go over and above your job by asking. Go to management and ask them, look, how do I upskill myself? Do you have uh, courses I could take, or study material I can go through, assessments I can do to upskill myself to get to the next level. So if you work in a big company, do yourself a favor and upskill yourself, to put yourself in a position where you are not one of the disposable uh, hundreds, who can be replaced. So basically, what you do is upskill yourself, get yourself into management. First get yourself into lower management, and don't stop there. Upskill yourself further and try to get yourself into upper management eventually, and grow in your career and keep challenging yourself. So that's one way to improve your situation, financially, but also in terms of job satisfaction. People uh, feel a greater sense of self-worth, if it feels as though, the boat is going forward, the scenery is changing. And so keep challenging yourself, and when you've reached a certain point, for example in upper management, that where you feel comfortable and you've aged and you now would like to sort of settle down, in your job at that level, then that's fine. So there's no problem with settling down in your job, but only settle down when you have reached uh, uh, a level, that feels good and feels right, where you don't feel like you're just one of the exploited lower order workers. Because unfortunately, uh, with more with less abilities, less qualifications, and less drive, you're probably just going to be one of the dispensable. You know, you become less disposable when you are more driven, basically. So you gotta try to get yourself in that situation. Um, Now that's if you're working in a big corporation. What if you're working in a little business? Um, how do you climb the ladder? I mean, there's often no growth potential when you're working for a small business, and I've ran small businesses, and basically, I'm working directly with the people who work for me. There's not much of a hierarchy, there's just me and three or four employees. What do you do, if you're one of these employees? Well, discuss with your boss, um, the possibility of becoming a shareholder in the business. Okay, not earning a salary, but instead earning a share, earning a percentage of the profits every month. Okay, why is this important? Because number one, it will help you to stay driven and committed. Um, your natural greed to want to earn more would also stimulate creativity, okay, within yourself. So while you are working at the business, you would be interested in taking a broader picture of the actual workings of the business, instead of just doing your menial task or your little job in the corner somewhere. And you might even be able to come up with viable innovations and suggestions that might help grow the small business and turn it into a medium-sized business. And why that is valuable is because then you become indispensable, right? You are not anymore just a salaried employee. You are also, in a sense, part of what helped, move the business forward from a small business to a medium-sized business. for example, or maybe even to, corporation, big corporation. And when you show that level of commitment, you become the loyalty aspect, kicks in. Your employer would feel more a sense of greater loyalty towards you because you showed loyalty and commitment, and you helped the business progress. Now, naturally, you are not going to do that if you are just merely a salaried employee, okay? Because you're just gonna do your job because your money that you're getting is only worth the job you're doing, and sometimes it's not even, you may feel it's not even worth the job you're doing. And so you're going to do the job sort of half-heartedly, and you're not going to really contribute to the success of the small business. You're going to actually contribute to the failure of the small business, which is what happens to a lot of small businesses. I've experienced that personally. And that's not going to be good for you, because pretty soon you will not have a job, and that's not going to be good for the business. So take a proactive approach. I have personally offered many of my employees the possibility of earning profit share within my businesses, and almost all of them refused because they wanted to remain salaried individuals, because they're so brainwashed into this whole salary thing that they'd rather be salaried individuals, employees, instead of part owner, which makes no sense really. But because they want what they believe, what they call job security. And frankly, there's no such thing as job security unless you're working for universities or working for government, and then their funding is artificial. They don't really produce goods and services, to sell to the public, or they are funded organizations. And so that's why there's job security for as long as the institutions and the funding mechanisms are in place. And that's artificial, and governments and these things are basically, especially if they don't do their jobs, they're actually just a burden to society, to be honest, because government departments are not run with the bottom line in mind, and they basically just giving money away. A lot of the times they're giving money away arbitrarily to staff that don't really do their jobs. We know this from right around the world. Experience in many countries. I've lived in different countries. I've shown that the worst institutions are often government institutions, government hospitals, government schools, government anything, The service is slow, it's delayed, and they say yes because it's bureaucracy, there's lots of red tape, paperwork, blah, blah, blah. But bottom line is that people just feel too comfortable in their jobs, because in government jobs you have a lot of rights, and you can mess up a lot before they have to fire you, and you're not even likely to get fired. They probably just move you to a different department. So anyway, moving along. So there's that. When you work for a small business, again, you try to become a shareholder, share in the profits, and then think laterally, think about the interest of the business, and become close to your employer. Thirdly, what about you can't get a job, okay? You don't work for a big company, you don't work for a small business, you are struggling to get a job, okay? And you need to make an income. What do? Well, anything, okay? That's legal, of course. Do the hustle, don't just wallow in your misery. If you are able to have to study something, anything, but study, keep your brain active. You can do that for free nowadays. The studying, by the way, guys, it's not about the certification or the qualification. It's about increasing your mental capacity, and increasing your ability, and increasing your chances to see opportunities when they present themselves. So you can study for free on EDX. You can study many of these free courses, even if you don't have money, but you happen to be able to get free Wi-Fi somewhere. or you can get use a computer in the library if you don't have a computer. But study. If you really you just hit a dead end, study and keep applying everywhere. Send out hundreds of CVs, and eventually something will land. But more importantly, you might spot an opportunity for you to do your own hustle. Okay, you might spot an opportunity for you to do your own hustle. So you create something, in other words. The easiest way to create something from experience when you don't have money is to offer a service. Okay, to create your own sort of job when you don't have money, to be self-employed, is to offer a service as opposed to goods, because goods requires capital. You need to get money to buy in stuff to sell it again. Goods require capital, but not necessarily also. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I did in a minute. But if you have a service you can render, so take a page, assess yourself, write down the skills you have, the things and the level of competency, at each skill. So you could say, write down the skills you have and put there, good, fair or bad, so the bad ones you omit, the ones that you are good at, focus on those things, and offer it as a service. So if you know how to cut grass, go to the more prominent areas that you know of, borrow taxi fare, go there, borrow some tools and go there and offer to cut grass, for example. You could do that. Don't do it in your own area, because chances are, if you this broke, you probably live in an area where most people are broke. So go to the white areas. I'm sorry to put it that way, because it's South Africa, right? Go to the white areas and offer white people the opportunity to make use of your services. And the thing about us people who grew up poor is that we can do a lot of shit, man. We grew up knowing how to do a lot of shit. I mean, I went into IT. I did programming, I did web development, I did computer hardware, I did networks. But I also know how to fix a car, because I grew up having to fix cars. I know how to do electrical work, wiring, because I had to do it for myself, because I couldn't afford someone to do it when I moved into my house, and all these kinds of things. We know how to do a lot of things. Plumbing, we know how to lay floors. We are so multi-talented and diverse in abilities, that we, if anything, our wealth is actually in our abilities. And it's also because we so used to having to upskill ourselves in order to do the hustle, and so use it because that's what you have, and if you get into the right thing, so you go and focus on one thing. That's the other thing. Okay, when you're sitting there, you're broke, you don't, and you figure, okay, I'm going to do, for example, I'm going to cut people's grass. Then focus on cutting people's grass. Now, I know the temptation, and some of the mistakes I've made, okay? The temptation is great when someone asks you, for example, you're cutting people's grass and someone calls you over and says, hey, can you, install my laminated flooring? No, it's an easy thing to do, and I mean, us brown people, we can do everything, right? So you go and you just, you start doing the laminated flooring thing, and then, you go back to the cutting the grass, and people are calling you to cut grass, but now you're doing the laminated flooring thing. What should you do, Turn down the laminated flooring thing. If you set your mind on cutting grass, and you are cutting grass, and that started working out for you, focus only on cutting grass. Because the temptation is there, the money is maybe a little bit more to just pull off this one job, and you can do it, so why not? The reason is because if you want to be able to build a successful business, you got to have a focus area, and just hone in on that focus area and stay committed to that and have patience with that, so don't just jump for the thing that's going to make you more money now. Okay, look at establishing an actual business long term. Eventually you'll buy your own vehicle, and you'll have some people work with you, and you could start a whole garden service, you know, from scratch, basically. So, but you gotta have that focus. And then, what about you wanna do something? Maybe you wanna sell something, but you don't have money to buy stock. What do? Right? You found out that there's a market for something. Let's say, I don't know, it's summer and there's a market for a special type of beach sandal, and you are able to locate this beach. You know that you could really make a lot of money selling this beach sandal, and you happen to know somebody that manufactures the beach sandal, and you can get it at factory prices, but you don't have capital. What do? Okay, borrow capital, and that's very difficult. Look, you poor, you don't have a credit record. You can't go to a bank to borrow money because you got to have money to get money from the bank. That's how it works. And your peers or the people around you, none of them are going to give you money, because let's face it, they don't want to see you get anywhere anyway. So what you do is you go to the manufacturer and you tell him, look, give me 100 pairs of sandals, okay, and I will pay you the end of the month, okay? And if he seems disinclined to do it, do the math, and tell him, look, I will pay you the end of the month, and some, basically. Okay, so you want to sell me each pair of sandal for 10 rand, but you have a bulk price of 8 rand a pair. If I take 100, you know what? Give me 100 at 10 rand, no problem. You're going to go to the white beach, the white area, and you're going to sell these sandals, at a store there for 50 rand. Look, these white people are not going to come to town center, Mitchell's Plain, to buy the shit, right? So you take it to them, they have a lot of money. And for them, 50 rand for a pair of sandals, it's worth it, man. So you're going to make 5 times, four times basically the amount. You're going to make a 40 rand for every 10 rand you spend. Okay, so at the end of the 100 sandals, you're going to come home with 400 rand, and you're going to go give the manufacturer his 100 rand. He's happy because he sold the 10 pairs of sandals, or what did we say, 100 pairs. Okay, so you're going to give him 1,000 rand. You're going to go home with 4,000 rand, at the end of the week, spending a week on the beach. Okay, you can do it. So use your coloredness, use your ability to hustle, use the people you are able to deal with directly because you know them, the connections you have in your community, because our communities are pretty close. We know everybody, Khalima makes dresses, and Haji this does pickle fish, and so use all these connections you have to market people's things outside of your own circle, because most people market only within their circle. So you go outside of the circle. And then finally, the last tip I want to give you is, when you do finally have a bit of money and you can afford a little bit of spending on yourself, join a gym. Okay, it sounds kind of stupid, right? Why the fuck would this guy tell me to join a gym? Join a gym because when you are healthier, okay, you look good, you look better, okay, you look put together, you look like you look after yourself, and people are more convinced, right, that you are able to provide or deliver on what you say you would. Number one. Number two, join a gym. Don't join a cheap gym in your area. No. Because it's no longer apartheid in South Africa, right? Go join a gym in a white area. Okay? Why? because there's a lot of white people in the white area, in the white gym, and you're allowed to be in the white gym because it's not apartheid anymore. So yes, pay the exorbitant gym fees that they have to pay. Not because their gyms are cooler, because some gyms, like for example Virgin Active, they're pretty equal, around wherever they are. But because when you are there, deadlifting your 200 kgs and doing your shit, you are gonna make friends, and you are gonna make white friends, and you are gonna start networking with white people, and white people live in a different South Africa than what you live in, and your circle will expand, and your ability to negotiate and sell and market services is going to tap into some money streams that you would not have had if you stayed in your poor area at your poor gym. So networking, basically. So that's how it works, guys. I'll offer you some more tips later, and good luck, and I hope that you succeed in whatever you're doing. God bless.